Dialogue on the bail refund procedure, a talk show that is going to break down bail, a right often misused, misunderstood, and mishandled. Have you ever paid your bail and gotten maybe difficulties in getting your money back? Has your loved one ever been arrested and you found yourself not knowing what to do? Today we are breaking down bail, how it works, the procedure of bail refund, and all the things that you need to know. And in studio, I'm joined by three gentlemen who are specialists in the topic. Your Worship, Eremie James Jumire Mawanda, Public Relations Officer, and for the Judiciary. Your Worship, good afternoon and welcome to the show.
Good afternoon and welcome.
I might have butchered your name there. I apologize.
No, don't worry. It's a very unique name.
Indeed.
But I am very proud of it.
What does it mean?
Eremie. Oh, it's a long story for another day.
Indeed, for another
but that
day.
defines who I am.
Well, thank you for coming through. And His Worship Ronald Kaizi, the Chief Magistrate of Bugane Road. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good afternoon, viewers. Nice to be here.
Okay. And His Worship at the extreme left, His Worship Faizo Umar Molalira, Deputy Registrar, Wakiso High Court Circuit. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having us. Good afternoon, dear viewers. It's always a pleasure to be with you. We are privileged to address you this afternoon. We bring you warm greetings from the judiciary and as an arm of government and from all our service centers across the country.
Well, for you who has just joined us, we are discussing the bail refund procedure. What do you know about bail? What do you know not to do and what to do? Go to our social media platforms and use the hashtag bail refund. The hashtag, go to Twitter, which is X now, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and let us know what you know about bail, what has been your experience, and probably some questions that you might have, because I have the right gentleman in studio to answer those questions. Now, to start off our discussion, I want to come to you, the man with the special name. Let's first understand what is bail, because so many Ugandans might not have even ever heard of the word.
That's very correct, moderator. Good afternoon, viewers. And I bring you special regards from the judiciary, top management. And we are here today to discuss a very sensitive aspect of our court procedures and processes. Over time, people have misunderstood what bail is. And we have equally found a lot of challenge when we want them to come and claim their money. Bail is this contract you have with the court as an accused person answering charges of whichever nature that you will be returning to court as opposed to remaining on remand and being brought by prisons every when you are needed in court. Oftentimes, the bail is applied for because our constitution provides that you have a right to apply for bail. It's a pre-trial remedy. Pre-trial in the sense that it gives you your liberty away from incarceration based on the presumption of innocence until the court has finally listened to evidence and made a verdict whether you are guilty or not guilty. Therefore, bail is that pre-trial remand, pre-trial remedy that allows you your liberty. It is often with or without sureties. And oftentimes, the judicial officer in whose discretion to grant you that bail will decide whether it is cash or non-cash. At the end of the day, once you are granted that bail and you have fulfilled those terms, you are expected to return to court every when the case comes up. Should you fail for some reason, the sureties that you will have furnished before a court have a duty to come and report to court and tell the court what has happened with you, why you have been unable to come to court. If they fail in one way or another, there are sanctions against the accused person and also the sureties, including forfeitures okay, and orders to pay the bond funds that have been issued. But at the end of the case, the termination or disposal of the case, that money is refundable. And that's why we are here today. We want to talk about the process of refunding bail. Many people are confused about it, and we have made it so simple. So simple. And we want our viewers and listeners to pay attention as we unpack the simple process of refund of bail.
Your Worship, you know, the simplest of things are usually the hardest to understand.
True.
And I want to bring in Your Worship, Ronald Kaizi, on the issue that bail is monetary and non-monetary. If so, how much am I supposed to pay for bail, and how is that price determined? And is it a standard for everyone else?
Yes. It's good you have asked a practitioner.
Yes.
Because you see, I've come with the man in the magistrate's court, and the chief in the magistrate's court at Uganda Road. I have also brought the register of the High Court, okay, in the circuit, so that people understand these dynamics. So
the question is, how much should be paid?
Yes.
And
how is it determined?
And how is it
And
determined?
also, are there standard prices for everyone who finds themselves in a position of having to pay bail?
Well, first and foremost, every money that is paid in the corridors of court is not bail money. Whatever money you pay to any staff of court in the corridors, to any masquerader in the corridors, is not cash bail.
And there are many.
And there are quite many. So that's the starting point.
Yes.
2, what do we consider when we are assessing what to pay? When do we pay? So maybe to me as a practitioner now, when do I order non-cash bail? It depends on who the litigant is, who the accused person is. You can have a minor before you who doesn't work.
Yes.
It would not make sense for you to order a minor to pay money. Juvenile offenders normally don't pay because they don't work. You may have a sick, weak, sickly litigant. Court user who is sick. I've had them. There's one I had who, the case was actually very serious, but he had hit himself on the wall and he was in bad shape. I couldn't ask him to pay money. You may look at a pregnant woman, those vulnerable members of the society, old people who can't afford to pay. And then in your opinion, they will come back. We normally don't charge them. We normally don't tell them to pay cash bail. So we look at that. Then the nature of the offense also then comes into play. After looking at who is the accused person, what is the offense that the person is charged with? The offenses that are very serious, even you look at the bail guidelines themselves, they tell us nature of the offense. We should consider it. So where the offense is, they didn't involve violence, it is look at the punishment, then you may say, no, this one, we may not charge them. We may not ask them to pay cash bail. Then, when do we order you to pay cash? It gets back to the seriousness of the offense that you are charged with. As a chief magistrate, I handle cases where the punishment is life imprisonment. And in my opinion, I would wish that if I order you to pay cash bail of this amount of money, it will, because you want it to be refunded to you at the end of the trial, it will force you to come back to court. Because every time you think about absconding, you remember we paid some money, which will mature once you
abscond.
Once you don't come back, you will not get your money. So basically, I'm looking at the nature of the offense. Yes, and also looking at who is the accused person. How much do you pay? We get back to that. Yes.
So in other words, for you who's watching, just to understand that the legal system is humane. It's not a thing of you go to the court, you have committed a crime, and the judge will not look at you and also make a judgment as a human being. Sometimes we look at the justice system as some entity that is detached from humanity, but it's not. His worship has just confirmed that he can look at you and know and understand where you're coming from, what are you subjected to, and also be able to understand that probably you don't have a job. So your bail will be a little less than for someone who is highly, income related. Your Worship, Umar Faisal, I want to bring you into the conversation. This is a justice legal aspect of life. What right do I have as probably someone who has been taken to court? I don't want to say a criminal, because you're never a criminal until you're proven that you are. Yeah. So for someone who has been taken to court and I have to pay bail, what rights do I have? And also, can I be denied bail?
Yes. Thank you so much for that question. You did ask earlier, what is the price of bail? Bail is not a commodity that is for sale. Let's start from there. Bail is a right available. Everybody has got a right to live freely without incarceration. But once you come into conflict with the law presumes that you will be kept, your personal liberty will be interfered with temporarily during the pendency of the case now brought before you. So what happens, you do converge with your relatives or people responsible for you, and they enter into a cognizance between them and the court that you entrust us with the physical custody or care of this person to be returned to court as and of when this person is needed. There are thresholds that, of course, you must meet. It's not a given. You have a right to apply for bail. You don't have a right to be granted bail. The exercise of granting or not granting bail is an exercise of judicial discretion that is guided with parameters set out under the law and the bail guidelines as issued by the Chief Justice. So your question is, where is the justice? Justice is a blind lady seated on or administered by a person entrusted with it for all.
Yes.
It knows no creed, it knows no blood relations, it knows no color. It is justice for all. So once you're moving into the bail process application, there are thresholds that you must meet. My brother has told you about the preconditions. Do you have what we call substantial sureties? Because the government of Uganda, under the law, is supposed to keep you behind the bars or in approved incarceration detention facilities for the period that you're interfacing with the criminal justice system. So you must produce substantial sureties. The question of substantiality is not the question of weight or darkness or being told. It is the question of being responsible over the person who is interfacing with the criminal justice system, that will be able to be returned to court wherever he is needed to be able to answer his charge. Remember, this case is a case against the sovereign people of Uganda. That's why it is Uganda versus so and so. Uganda versus X and X. 2, do you have what we call a fixed place of abode? Many times, somebody might commit an offense within a particular locality, but they are not ordinarily residents within that locality. And they lack substantial evidence to back up their claim of their residence. So we cannot let you to go in the weirdness where you're unknown, yet there is a person who has suffered legal harm in your
area.
In your hands, at your hands, because of the alleged criminality that you have
against you.
And as we have said, bail that we are talking about here, there are different types of bail, but one of the bails we are considering here is pre-trial bail. You're still assumed innocent until proven guilty. So the equilibrium of justice balances between you and the complainant and the legal systems where you're supposed to be kept. Secondly, the nature of the offense, did it involve physical violence? And are you susceptible to, are you likely to face vulnerabilities when you go out? Sometimes you can be kept in the cells or in detention facilities, not because the offense is not bailable. But the volatility of the environment you're yearning to go out and meet might result into mob justice. The wounds are still fresh
So
in the
for
community.
your safety,
For your safety,
you are kept
you're kept
in jail.
In jail, much as you've met the thresholds for grant of what? Bail. But also, you know, the law requires that a person is produced in court, before court, within 48 hours. At that stage, investigations are still ongoing. So many times, if you rush to send this person out, and is a high-risk person, one, he might evade the criminal justice system, or he might interfere with the ongoing investigations, or even threaten the witnesses. And the cases thrive and are won on the cogence of the evidence that is brought by the witnesses. So, as I've said, the equilibrium must balance. And once it balances off, then it tags into your question, what is the price of bail? Bail is not a commodity for sale. It is, the money you pay is a non-tax revenue. That's why it is refundable to you at the end of the criminal trial. It is intended for you to feel some bit of, not difficulty, but some binding between you and the court, that you will be able to return every time you're supposed to return and face face trial. My brother has talked about the assessment. The assessment is purely judicial discretion, but the impact, the alleged impact of the offense might have a bearing if it is an offense involving maybe a cyber attack, or a financial flow, or illicit money, or an offense involving corruption-related tendencies. The vulnerabilities of buying a fake drug, and it is consumed by a considerable number of people who are exposed, and the money landed in your pocket as one person, then we cannot make the criminal justice system a mockery when the village finds a person whom they recently took to the authorities without undertaking a mob justice within themselves. They've subjected you to the legal process. And
then
they
you
find
give
it
bail
that
and
even
you're
at the
busy
pitch,
lounging.
at the pitch, busy lounging, you know.
All right, so we have understood what bail is, the conditions that I have to, the threshold I have to hit in order to ask for bail, because it's a right to me as a person taken to court. Now, I want to come to you, Your Worship, James Jumere. We understand that, I beg your pardon, bail is refundable, indeed. What are the conditions that I have to meet as someone who has already paid bail to get this money back, or a property in case it's non-monetary?
Okay, thank you very much. Before I even answer that, okay, there is this perception that courts ask for bail only in monetary terms. That's not true.
I think His Worship also mentioned that.
Yes, I just want to emphasize it.
Indeed.
That the general principle is that everyone charged with a criminal offense has a right to apply for bail. In fact, has a right to get bail. Okay? Once you apply, you should ordinarily be granted bail, because it's a pre-trial remedy based on the presumption of innocence. And it's until the judicial officer, having all of those considerations for the grant of bail, thinks otherwise, that he will defer granting the bail. And if he does defer granting bail, he will give reasons. Often those reasons justify why someone has not been granted bail. And some of them my brother Faizo has just raised them. You see, people misunderstand that even for your own safety. We have stories, very bizarre stories, where persons have been granted bail only to be lynched in the
later
villages.
on.
And yet they are entitled to the protection of the law, and one of them is not granting them bail at that time, but probably at a later stage. But the judicial officer will listen to the application, listen to all sides involved, and will form an opinion. That is what constitutes discretion. But that discretion must be exercised judiciously. Okay? And he will take a decision to say cash or not cash. And I want our viewers here to take note. Be very keen at listening. Has the court ordered a cash bail, and how much? Or has the court ordered a not cash bond? Because oftentimes our people have been fleeced money, the extortionists around the courts.
Your Worship, could you give examples of the non-cash bails? Form of bail?
The non-cash bails is where you are bonded in a sum of money which you are not required to pay instantly before you are released. It becomes then it becomes demanded if you are absconded from appearing. This normally applies to the accused if he has been bonded in a sum of money and he does not return to court. The court will make an order when he returns and does not give sufficient reason why he failed to appear, that he is then ordered to forfeit that fund, which goes into the consolidated fund, including sureties. Most times sureties are bonded. They are not ordered to pay that cash. Until otherwise, that's when it becomes realized.
So if it's a cash bail that has been awarded by the judge, I have to pay that money. Then cash.
And the cash is payable into the URA account. You get what we call a PRN number against your file, and then you go to the bank, you pay the money at the bank. Please don't pay monies to the courts. Don't pay the money to the courts. And don't give anybody. Go to the bank, pay your money, get a proof of payment, return with that proof of payment to the court, and our accounts departments at the courts will process the rest of the documents. Now, you asked me the conditions for a refund. The conditions for a refund are simple. If you have been granted bail or bond, okay, but let us look at particularly the cash aspect, that you paid your money. The conditions are simple. One, ensure you attend to the court trial until the end of your case. That's number one. Because if along the way, if you abscond, all right, the court is at liberty to cancel your bail and even order forfeiture. And if a forfeiture has been ordered, then the money has been, if I use the word, confiscated, and it goes into the consolidated fund. So you can't claim for it. But when you have faithfully attended to the trial and the court has determined your case, it doesn't matter whether you have been convicted or you have been acquitted. The issue is at the termination of your matter, your money is refundable. What do we want you to do? At the close of your case, whichever decisions or punishments have been done, write a simple application. Simple. I paid my money for bail. The case has been determined. I am hereby applying for the refund. Okay? Once we get that application, within which you will have indicated where you want us to put the money. It can be your personal account number, and it should be in your names, or a mobile phone number which has mobile money.
In the names of the person who
the
paid?
Applicant, the one who paid.
Okay.
Because you see, this money is kept in the Bank of Uganda on a URA account. Now, if it doesn't recognize the person applying for a refund vis-a-vis the person who was ordered, then there is a problem. There will always be flagging. So we have had those challenges where many applicants, and we have these cases, and we are telling them, if you know the names you used, the names under which your file reads, you were charged, and apply under those names. Put your account number in those names. There is a difference between James Eremie, okay, and Eremie James. Even the order matters. Okay? So we want people to be very keen so that we shouldn't have refunds failing to get back to the owners simply because of some of these simple errors. So we have had a lot of errors and mistakes in the applications of our people, and we are telling them, please, if you have made some of these errors, we always get back to them and we say, please, we have this problem, come, we rectify it, and then you should be able to have your money. Number 3, they have documents which are proof of payments into the banks, and we tell them, please keep these original documents, the original receipt, because you see, the receipt is the proof that you paid the money. Attach it on this application.
From the bank?
The one you submitted to the bank and the bank gave you as proof of payment. We want it. And remember, when you bring the banking slip, we also give you an official government receipt as proof in respect of that payment. So we want those 2 documents to attach on your what? On your application. Then for us as courts, when we receive the application, when it has all of those details, we then process the record, we attach the order, making the order for a refund, and we submit the same to the secretary, to the judiciary, the permanent secretary, who then also processes the same, and within 7 days, we expect that all biodata being correct, you should receive your refund. You should receive your refund.
Your Worship,
yes.
Ronald Kaizi, I want to bring you into the conversation at this point. What are some of the most common mistakes that applicants make while applying for their refund of bail money?
Quite a number. As His Worship Eremie has said, you fill in a form. When you first of all, you apply to the chief magistrate, who's in charge of the station, or if it is the High Court, the deputy registrar or the registrar of that court. You are applying for bail refund by letter. Because the reason why you are writing to us is that we need to look for that file, because it's computed somewhere. There's a form that you fill. Now, the first error that they do make is the names error, as he has said. Names don't tally. Some people have 3 names. When they're brought to court, the judge does 2 names. So the national ID has 2 names, the bank account has 2 names. So now there's a problem there. The money will bounce.
Yes.
2, some of them give us wrong account numbers. When they are writing the account numbers, they get the account numbers wrong. The money will bounce. Others give us account numbers that are not in their names. For example, somebody alleges to be a villager without a national identity card, so he can't open up a bank account. So what he does, he gives court an account of somebody else, yet he fills the name as his. So when we take, first we don't know your account number as judiciary, so we shall process and we send to the PS to validate. It will bounce. Then many times, as Worship has said, our people don't keep their documents. Actually, they lose them. So you find that a case has taken 3-4 years but somebody has lost the original URA payment slip. He has lost the original receipt that usually issues. So we advise this normally is that if you have a photocopy or if you remember the PRN number, this is an affidavit, and tell us that I paid the PRN number, because with the PRN number we can verify from your system that really this money came. You may have lost your receipts, but at least you have your, but without a PRN number, and you said this was my case, I paid this money, but there's really no proof. So we find it hard to process your payments without PRN. So even when you have lost them, at least have the PRN number written somewhere, because we can check the system and we really pay you. So those are some of the common mistakes that our people do.
When I apply for the cash refund, how long does it usually take?
It should take maximum of 7 working days. But the problems those problems, people have not received money in those days. The problems are those. For example, somebody, there's some Kais Ronald, alias Peter, alias. So you find that someone has so many names. So we advise the viewers, please, our viewers, let's ensure that before you apply for bail, the names that are in the bank are the names that you are filling in, and should be the names that you used in court. Every time they are reading charges to you in courts, and it's something I'm seeing, because if you have 3 names and they mention only 2, please tell the court that I also have this name, so that the state can add that name on your charge sheet and counter signs. Because at one point in time, you need that 3rd name when you're claiming your money.
Indeed.
So let's not leave it courts. They read your names, you keep quiet. Some are misspelled, you keep quiet. Then later, when you're claiming for bail, you tell judiciary that that name was not spelled well. You are not permitted to have that name spelled correctly when they're reading charges to you. Please do it at that point in time.
Your Worship, in case of a minor, earlier you mentioned that when someone who probably doesn't work, they're minor, they're juvenile, this person does not have a phone for mobile money, this person does not have an account, then what happens for such a person who is applying for bail and also probably getting refund?
Yeah, but we already said earlier that in situations of juveniles, what is cash for? Normally, those are the categories which fall under the bond regime. Okay.
So, in case then, because you mentioned earlier, Your Worship, that when the bond that has been bonded to me, the non-cash bond, in case I abscond, it has to be paid, right?
Forfeited.
Forfeited.
Yes.
So it's not paid.
You see, let me put it in context so that even our viewers can understand it. And I want to specifically also attach it to a juvenile who, for all purposes and intents, is not employed, he has no means of income. The judicial officer is possessed with enough intelligence and skill when managing these bail matters. They are trained, they are skilled officers. We are doing continuous skilling in our continuous trainings to tell them to understand and appreciate some of these dynamics. Where a juvenile was bonded, was he bonded with sureties or on own cognizance? All right? There are mechanisms under the law when it involves juveniles. So we have no much worry in that direction of juvenile justice. Our main challenges come when it comes to adults in the mainstream criminal justice system, because those are actually, their role is to beat the system. That's why if you have absconded on your own recognizance, but you were bonded, the state will pursue you, will arrest you and bring you back to court. But the moment you are brought back to court and you are given an opportunity to explain yourself out, but you did not give sufficient and convincing reasons, the court, exercising their discretion judiciously, as I said, might make an order that you now pay that money. Okay? Because you breached the contract, the agreement with the court.
Indeed.
If you had now those sureties equally, and they were also summoned under criminal summons to explain why you are no longer coming to court, and they did not give sufficient reasons, or they are even culpable into your flight, the judicial officer will take a decision and may order you to pay the bond, which money goes as a forfeiture to the state.
Then now it turns into a cash bond.
You can call it that. Because now, yes, you said in the bond form that if this person fails to, I shall pay.
Oh, shall
And these are simple English. This is simple English. People read these things, they even understand them, because court takes trouble even to explain all of that.
Your Worship, as I said earlier, the simplest things are the hardest to understand. It might seem so simple.
Probably,
but for our viewers, I know they are scratching their heads.
No, but these are not, we are not speaking rocket science.
Indeed.
Here. These are things they have actually known over time. All right? But perhaps because, you see, human nature is always conflicting. Even in the obvious things, they want to conflict over them. You see? The law allows you, if you, at a point T, if you realize that the person you stood surety for in court has tendencies
to disappear
or appears like he's likely to disappear, the law allows you to run to court and say, I have these suspicions. May I be discharged? But you did not take advantage of all of that. You chose to keep quiet and even perhaps aided. We have seen specific cases where sureties, particularly the professional ones, the quack ones from around Kampala, okay? They are those, by the way, professional, they are even paid. They don't know you for as long as you pay money, and we are telling our judicial officers, be mindful of such people. Try to do some background check so that you are sure the surety who is before you is not a professional from the streets, only coming to aid and abet this person's flight as soon as is granted bail. But should you, and then the court has summoned you to give explanation why this person has not come back to court, and he's satisfied that you are part and parcel of the problem, why this man ran away, the court will exercise that option of ordering you to pay that money.
Your Worship, Mularida, I want to bring you into the conversation at this juncture. How widespread is the issue of misinformation, bribes, and corruption in the bail process? And also, if I am asked by someone, the so-called outsider experts, to pay money, because most times when someone is forced or placed in a situation of having to face court, your senses can disappear and you're looking for help here and there. What are the things that I should do as a person who's probably caught in a confusion?
Thank you so much. Court is an arbiter for disputes. It's a seat of justice. Nobody should go into disarray, discomfort, or some bit of being taken advantage of because they have been taken to court. Everybody in court will have a day to tell their side of the story. And usually a story has two sides. Until you listen to the other, it might be hard for you to know the direction the case is taking. Now, as we have already clarified here and alluded to, bail money is only payable in the bank. Courts are not money collection centers for any purpose. They just aid payment of this money on court orders, not even to the court officials themselves, not even to the court cashier who sits at the court. So once a magistrate or a judge makes an order that I've granted cash bail of so much to so and so, then that person should not succumb to vulnerabilities of any quack around him. First of all, there is no conversation of pre-money before you appear to apply for bail. People are discouraged from engaging in conversation relating to bargaining how much bail should be. That is solely within the discretion of the judge who is sitting in the judicial chair, seized with the judicial authority, adjudicating over that particular file in the presence of both parties. Once there has been an order to pay the money, they will make an assessment, the cashier at the court. And now the judiciary is automating many of our processes. Once we evolve automation, that means we allow secondary terminals of payment, not necessarily within the traditional banks, the brick and mortar banking halls. That means once you get a payment registration number, which we've been referring to as PRN, then you're able to punch it in on your mobile money account, or to swipe when you go to this to the agent banking. Then you're able to swipe your card or your payment chip that you could be having, and then money will move from your account to the account of URA. Money does not move from your account to any other personal account, even if it is the operational account of that court, money is supposed to be paid into Uganda Revenue Authority. And because of the two-tier verification and automation, if you've registered your mobile number at the time of payment, you will also receive a message, an SMS confirming that money has been paid. So, to me, and the way I understand what the courts are doing, there is no room for exchange of money at the court. And if anybody tries to corner you into having a conversation about money at the court, we have so many agencies that are standing in to fight this vice. One of them is our internal processes through the office of the Inspectorate of Courts within our offices. The PRO's office that is headed by my senior brother here is also there. But there are also outside agencies that are helping to fight this. But before, even we urge that before even you get outside, the judiciary has built a robust internal disciplinary mechanism that can be whipped against anybody that is trying to engage. Even people who are masquerading, holding out as judicial officers or person with inclination to the judiciary and banking on your vulnerabilities to take advantage of you. Once you report to the PROs, we have a toll-free number. My senior brother will be sharing it out. This toll-free number links directly with our Inspectorate of Courts and the PRO's court. And we have kiosks at all these courts where we have free people who are offering these services. But also the registrar or the chief magistrate within a circuit or that particular court. We are operating an open door policy where you will not be barred by the court officials from seeing the judicial officer. Come and express yourself that so and so is asking me this so much, and the judge or the registrar or the magistrate said this much. How do I go about it? So for us, once you're granted bail, we are waiting for a return either from the bank or from the court secondary automated payment terminals that would show that the money has hit the non-tax revenue accounting URA, from where that money will be refundable. Now, the concept of refund, you've asked about it and alluded to it. The refund is available to you either way, if you've been convicted or you've not been convicted. The danger we get is that people who pay this money many times are relatives of the accused person. But remember, they are not the ones interfacing with the criminal justice system. So they are not in direct contact in terms of their names on the file. So when it comes to recovery, they usually come up and you see, they start conflicting amongst themselves. Yes.
Your Worship, Ronald Kaizi, I want to kind of expound on who are the key court officials in the bail procedure.
Key court officials.
Yes, for me to look out for, because so much has been alluded to. Don't talk to middlemen. Don't talk to people who are maybe staff. But who are the key court officials that, in case I am found in that particular process, that I need to know? I have to talk to his magistrate. I have to talk to this person. I have to talk to this person.
Well, the first one practically is the clerk of that court where your file was handled. Well, those cases, those courts that are still not yet on ECMIS, that are on CAS, that clerk has to trace for the file. And once the clerk gets the file, then it will take it to, normally, as I told you, write to the chief magistrate, that bail refund, because in charge of the station,
Indeed.
Or the deputy registrar. So the chief magistrate will minute on your letter and direct the magistrate who handled your file to issue a court order, because there must be a court order, a bail refund court order, which is issued by the trial magistrate now. So we have the court clerk, we have the chief magistrate who is in charge of the station and who will eventually forward the file to the PS. We have the magistrate who handled the file, who is supposed to issue the court order. Now, this clerk will also fill in the bail refund forms for you, because many times if you late, because the bail refund form is second schedule to the bail guidelines, but we don't let the court users fill in because they make mistakes with it. So the clerk will fill in for you. And then there's the cashier. The cashier or the accounts assistant at court also plays a role. And once the cashier has played his role, once the court clerk has played his role of filling the form and getting the file, once the trial magistrate has played his role of issuing you the court order, then the file, once completed, ends up at the desk of the chief magistrate, who will eventually read the PS authorizing that this bill refund be effected. But before the chief magistrate forwards the file, he has to ensure that he looks at it critically and he notes that everything that is in order, everything that must be there is actually there.
Okay. As we conclude the conversation, I'll come to you, Your Worship James. What are some of the key factors that you want the public to know as we conclude?
Oh, wonderful. Our dear viewers, first of all, I want to inform you that the judiciary is a part of government. And whatever we do is to complement government efforts in ensuring prosperity for all, ensuring peace and prosperity, ensuring livelihoods, household incomes, etc. Now, in the quest for sensitizing the public, we come up with these programs where we are explaining a lot of things in the quest to ensure that our people get back their money refunds. Okay? We have realized that a lot of errors and fears have come up, and people are not coming to pick this money, and this money is being held up in the coffers out there. And yet our people are poor, and we are saying, but you have this money. Come and pick this money, okay, so that you can continue having your household incomes addressed. Because if you had 20 million as bail and your case was concluded and you are not coming to pick it, you can imagine how you will be 20 million shillings poorer, and yet the money is available there. But I want to tell our viewers and the general public that the judiciary has intensified on customer care initiatives, especially when it comes to our court users, because we are servants of the people. The issue which you raised, that people come and they have fears, yes, we have recognized that. And we have come up with initiatives at all court levels to ensure that customer care for those kind of people who may be faced with some of those challenges are addressed. And our officers and staff are all ready to ensure that some of the things are addressed at the soonest, because we want our people to get this money back. Quacks, the masqueraders and the thieves all over around our courts, we have partnered with our key stakeholders like the police to ensure that we arrest any masquerader around, one who are trying to give us a bad name, a bad image, and we want to ensure that one is done and we eradicate that. If you have any challenges, I want to share a toll-free line, because some people, they don't know what to do, yet if they only called our toll-free line, we are able to offer assistance and we solve a problem. You can do it not only for bail, but even for any other issues, including reporting wrong elements. And we do investigations, and we want people to come out clearly and help us. If you are not receiving the expected service, let us know, so that we do a SWOT and we correct certain things. The toll-free number I want to share is 0800 111 900. I'll repeat that one. It is 0800 111 900. The second line is 0800 225 587. We have a dedicated 24/7 staff in our judicial call center who receive your concerns, who receive your questions, your queries, who receive any report about whatever is happening, and we process it. And that is directly under my charge. I want to promise Ugandans that The transformation agenda, which is led by the Honorable Chief Justice of Uganda, Honorable Chigamoy Alphonse Winnie-Dolo, is to ensure that Ugandans get quality service.
Indeed.
And we achieve our vision, justice for all.
Your Worship, Ronald Kaizi, any last few words for the viewers on the topic?
Thank you so much. I encourage people to pick their money. Buganda, normally every month we collect between 50 to 100 million in cash bail, but I sign almost 10 bail refunds a month, so a lot of money remains. Let them pick their money.
Mm-hmm. Your Worship, a last word from you.
Yes, the judiciary is striving to strengthen its relations with the public. Mm. And among the inroads is this avenue we are taking. So we are inviting all the people, irrespective of the years. The money is there. Please produce the documents. Mm. And if you lost the documents, still, if you're in automated courts, the details are already in our electronic case management system. Mm. But if you were on the manual court system before, there are still ways that through which once you go to court to seek help, you can be guided, because these returns, the general file was issued on a carbonated copy, so we can still go through these files and check. And I was astonished when I looked at your Twitter page, X, ahead of this program. The comments the Ugandans were making, they were hilarious. Thank you so much, but the money is there, and please come for the money.
You know, the funny thing is that some people, when they hear the judiciary carrying out such a process, they say, it's our money. Why do you want to give us our money? If we don't want to pick it, what's the problem? No, then they become very...
Let me surprise you. I was
very paranoid.
I was in the park, and the Parliament was asking us why we don't give people their money. In fact, one of the members of Parliament on the panel amused me by saying that he's one of those who knows he has his money there.
Yeah, but
he has chosen not to claim it. And here we were on the spot being asked questions why we are not refunding people's money, and we are saying, you know,
please go and pick your money.
Out there are the ones who are not coming for this money, and we don't know where to put their money.
Your Worship, Eremie James Jumire Mawanda, Public Relations Officer, the Judiciary, thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you.
His Worship, Ronald Kaizi, Chief Magistrate, Buganda Road, thank you for your words today. They have been important. And His Worship, Faizo Umar Muladida, Deputy Registrar, Wakiso High Court Circuit. Thank you so much, gentlemen. And for you who has been watching, please thank you so much for staying with us. I hope you have picked a word or two, and go to our social media platforms to continue the conversation. Ask the legitimate questions, the questions that will help you one day when you find yourself against the court of law. Well, the hashtag is bail refund, and I will read those numbers, the toll-free line again, which is 0800 111 900 and 0800 225 587. You can call those numbers for more information, but keep it NTV Uganda, keep yourself informed and alert. I'm Idris Matusegawa. See you next time.